Alright, let me try this again. So let me make it so it doesn't have too much of that weird background ringing noise. But basically, I'm on my PC this time, and I'm gonna review this week. This week, the thing that I've come to realize is my losses are just as big as my wins, when my wins should be larger. Okay, so we had 3 trades this week, right? Um, we had a shouldn't have been type of trade here. This shouldn't have never been a trade. So unfortunately, I forced a loss. We had a nice 2R win. However, on the funded, it was not a 2R. And then we had this loss here, which was not the greatest loss. So I'll start out on the Monday. So coming into market open, right, we pushed up higher, right, we took out London highs, we took out previous day highs, and we ended up starting to see some slowdown, right, we started to see some turnaround. However, the issue with this trade is, well, yes, there is a nice um, sweep here. There isn't really any true manipulation, okay? And what I mean by that is like there's no big like imagine this is a candle. There's no big candle with a big wick, with a long wick, right? There's none of that. All it is it's like we're body closing up, right? Look at the line. We're just kind of making market structure higher as we slow down. So this was kind of poor identification on my behalf. Oh, my dog is tweaking out on my bed. It's dreaming. But anyway, so we got in and we got exited relatively fast. I'll show the stats in a minute. But yeah, just as you can see, we are like $323 down from the drawdown. But look, regardless, that's not the point. So yeah, tough loss here. Next day came back. We had this is what we wanted to see, right? What we saw here was we came up and we didn't have really strong. We kind of dilly dallied, and we didn't have any manipulation in this sequence, right? However, we had this type A, which is something that I've taught myself. At 9:45, we had, or 9:50, sorry, we had this candle. It came down. It didn't come directly into the zone. However, I did like where it was, and the draw on liquidity, which was the pre-market highs, as well as it's just following market structure. So with that being said, we got in, and yeah, good execution. Oof, look at that deviation. Good execution. Could have held for 3R, which would have been excellent, and would have been much better for this week. As well as could have just honestly held the rest of the entire, like, till the end of the day, right, for a total of 4.58. But I actually ended up cutting this win short, right? So initially our sizing on this trade was 230, 230 risk. This one was unfortunately 270. This one was 230. So I'm usually tend to be in that ballpark range of around 150. I'm gonna try and stay under, or 250, sorry. But I just reduced I changed my previous personal daily loss limit to better approach that scenario. So at the higher end of the loss, but regardless, we don't want that. And I'll explain why I have it reduced here, and I actually have a personal daily loss limit um, with a blocking effect um, very soon. But as you can see, came up, take out that high, and unfortunately, I did cut my loss, or I cut my win, sorry, around here. So it was a smaller win than it should have been. Um, because I was seeing it up here, it came down, and I closed like right around here, which was quite unfortunate. Um, Now, why am I doing that, right? Because I was trading previous day's price. Okay, I was trading yesterday's price action. I didn't want to lose my quote unquote profits while still giving away my other to be determined, right? And then I don't know, I'm trading kind of scared, and I'm able to recognize that at least, right? This was a very solid trade. We had the manipulation, we had the narrative, and we had the execution. Um, so this was a good trade. This was a mediocre trade, right? And then we had no trades on Wednesday. It was a FOMC day. I was still looking, but nothing I really liked. We did come up, we chopped around for quite a bit, and then we sold off. On Thursday, we had a hard sell off, and I was waiting for the 11:10 candle, and of course, it decided to troll and do it the next candle over. So I wouldn't there's SMT down here, right? We wanted to see some rebalance, right? At least to these highs. So would have looked like this, um, or something like this. That's a bit of a large stop, but you get the point. Something like this is what we would have liked to look for. However, it was literally the candle after I closed my laptop, which is just close the charts. I mean, which is always just comedic, you know. Um, and then on Friday, we had this trade here. In the moment, right, this manipulation was very um, optimal. However, look at these conditions, right? Chop, 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 chop. We didn't really get a solid leg up. We just kind of took it and came back. And as you can see, there was no inversion, right? So there was no trigger, right? So we had the setup, but there was no trigger. And then as you can see, coming into the morning, we're dancing in this range, right? We're stuck from A, and we're stuck to B, right? And then we finally break out of the range here, right? We sweep this low. We have a nice displacement higher. Um, but then I believe that this was an SMT here. We can check that actually. So yes, as you can see, 1045 SMT. So yeah, there was no real, like, even if let's say we caught the trade right here, we caught this trade, it either would have been um, SMT and you're getting a break even from that, or you are taking the loss. This is not my proudest trade. Very disappointed with it. Simply put it terms, I was chasing price and I was chasing profits. I saw these lows here and I thought we were immediately rushing to them, and that is what burnt me. Um, and yeah, what do I need to learn, right? What did I learn, right? And thankfully, right, I didn't. I took this loss to the chin. I'll show you on the minute chart, but it was actually quite rough, right? Because what happened here was it came up and it just this candle it shot through, right? So if you see here, right? So I'm currently down a little bit, um, but not the end of the world, right? We're gonna move. So this is what I mean, right? My losses are almost the same size as my wins, right? This one should have been a 2 hour trade, right? So if we're thinking in 2 hours, right? So I'm trading $250 per trade on average, right? So this should be at least 465 to 520 on average for a 2 hour trade. Same with here, right? However, this one I cut short because why? I did not trust the profit. This one could have been, or the process, sorry. This one could have been a much larger trade as well. This one could have been 3 hour, 4 hour even. However, I cut it short because I did not trust the profit, and I was also trading the previous day's price action. It does say I did 8 trades, which is because I had to size. I tried to size in because I had my contracts not set up properly. So I did one ding ding ding, and I had to exit, and it exits like that. So 4 contracts, you get the point. But I don't really need to explain that. Um, and then here, right, we took that loss. We took that fat loss, right? As you can see. doesn't really show it well at all. However, we basically were not in the green at all. I guess for a little bit, but regardless, we were smacked out. And even if I did win this trade, right? Like, what am I trying to prove? This is not it. The fucking ads. This is not some type of discretionary trade. This is not something that I've been learning, right? I understand. Okay, we have manipulation, right? But this trade afterwards, right? When we have that manipulation, the S&T, okay, right? What do I like to trade, right? If it's a V shape, let me get my tool. Right? If it's a V-shaped recovery, this is the manipulation, right? This move here is the manipulation. However, if it's like this, where it's a not much of a V shape, right? And there's not an entry, right? Then the manipulation, right? Let's say we don't break below. This is the IFEG. We don't break below. We tend to get the internal manipulation or an SMT, right? Before breaking below and then coming up and then going, right? So we either get this SMT like that, or we come up and we take the high, right? If it's a type B or type C, right? Or if it's a type A, what we'll do, and this is my own terminology, type A and type B and C. Maybe I will break it down, but or we could just buy my course. No, I'm trolling. But let's say it's type A, right? We have quicker move, right? This tends to be the manipulation sweeping, right? And that's what it was on Friday, or not this Friday, but right. I kind of like to keep my trades on here. So look, what happened here? This is exactly what I'm talking about. We swept the low. We came up with speed. It's type A, right? What's the manipulation? It's these candles that came down to sweep that high, right? This is a type A, but what happened? We didn't get proper manipulation, right? So we lost, right? What about here? This was an internal sweep. Look at this. Type A, we swept the high, came down. We don't need that manipulation on the internal move. We have the external sweep. Look at this, type B. We have that internal manipulation. We displaced lower, right? We didn't get the cleanest retrace, but we still caught and see an entry. What about this, type B? And you honestly could probably figure out what I mean by type A, B, and C if you're just watching, right? Type B, come up, a little mess around here, look. A little mess around. It's not the cleanest type B. It's more type B slash A. Come down, we manipulate, right? Externally or internally, sorry, and we continue higher, right? We also don't have any entries to the downside, nor do we have any manipulation, right? We have this internal manipulation, but then again, right? Why would we go down? Why would we go down, right? We're in an uptrend. Okay, it's that simple. And these are trades that I have taken, right? And now the second I get on this qualified, I'm starting to not let my trades go full profit, right? I'm not letting them hit here. I'm cutting them here, which is not ideal for my risk reward. It's not ideal for my entire trading strategy. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself, right? This is the self-sabotaging that can ruin someone, right? So thankfully I'm not down significantly. I'm actually very down, and it's just I need to stop allowing myself to cut my wins short and extend my losses, right? I only take one trade a day, so losing is not that hard, right? And I'm easily able to step away. However, it's just a matter of, okay, what steps can I take, to help myself do that? Or what steps can I do, right? Like, I don't want to cut all my profits away. And sometimes, like, you just have to let the trade run. Like, I trade on the 5 minutes, so my trades take a longer time, right? Look at this, perfect example. Type B, internal manipulation. Type A, external manipulation. And that's all the explanation I'm going to give for um, my way of trading, basically, as of right now. But, it's not rocket science, right? This is like the thing that everyone teaches, or not everyone, but a lot of people teach, and it's pretty common knowledge, right? This is a good tool in drawing right here. But yeah, I mean, anyway, that's all I really have to say for this weekly recap. So on the eval, or sorry, on the what's it called? Not the eval. On the funded, we're down just around 1R, unfortunately. But it's a new week, or sorry, it's a new month, and we're going to not let that affect us. You know, that's the goal. That's the name of the game. It's just progress, 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 and don't let you know. This is what the hill looks like, right? The hill looks like this: bing, boom, bing, boom, bing, boom, bing, boom, bing, and sometimes it might be longer, right? Sometimes you might have higher highs and lower lows, right? But overall, you're still gonna go higher. That's the name of the game. As long as you can continue upward, right? You're gonna have red weeks, you're gonna have red days, but you gotta just keep on munching through, you know? I've traded a lot of data, you know, and I've seen that this works. You know, I know the way I'm trading, the way that I've created myself as a trader works. I just need to be able to apply that, and that's the only thing that I'm going to work on, right? So, this week's lesson is let runners run. That's it. Let runners run. That's all I want it to be. And what else should I say? I guess don't force things that don't exist. Don't try and take discretionary setups. Just let the model do its work, right? So yeah, that's all. Um, and goodbye.